Chapter 1. The Dawn of Logos. The date is June 21st, 2030. Liberty Square in Washington, D.C. is transformed into a sea of celebration and excitement. The iconic square, now the capital of the newly founded American Republic of Merit, better known as the A.R.M., bustles with activity. Bright sunlight illuminates waves of banners, flags, and signs emblazoned with slogans like "Intellect over ignorance" and "Merit not myth." Thousands of citizens fill the space, united under a single cause, the victory brought forth by the Age of Logos. For the first time in America's history, intellect, reason, and merit now reign supreme. The square itself, redesigned to reflect the A.R.M.'s values, is futuristic yet functional, framed by marble columns and a massive stage at its center. On the stage, Chris Parsons, who is 18 years old, and his younger sister, Ruby Parsons, 14 years of age, stand side by side, statuesque figures of inspiration and leadership. Behind them, their loyal team, the cornerstone of the meritocratic revolution, stands proudly, talking among themselves. Facing forward, both Parsons' siblings looked out upon the roaring crowd with purpose. This moment is the culmination of 4 years of struggle and an unwavering vision for a world where reason prevails over ignorance. Chris adjusted the microphone, cleared his throat, as the crowd began to quiet down. He radiated confidence, his clean-cut features and composed tone striking a balance between authority and humility.
"Good afternoon, my fellow Americans,"
he began, his voice steady yet powerful, amplified across the square.
"Today we gather to mark the dawn of a new era. After nearly 4 years of relentless struggles, protests, and sacrifices, we, the people, have dismantled the old world order. Their regime of privilege, greed, and subjugation is over. What we have built is greater than a victory. It is a movement."
The crowd roared to life. Waves of applause and cheers filled the air, creating an infectious energy as banners rippled like ocean currents in the summer breeze. The new symbol of A.R.M., a design of symmetrical geometric brilliance, glowed brightly on flags held in raised fists throughout the crowd. For many here, this isn't just a celebration. It's a release from decades of disillusionment, inequality, and corruption. Chris stepped back, a subtle but deliberate acknowledgement that his sister was ready to speak. With a broad grin, Ruby Parsons grabbed the microphone, her youthful energy laced with fiery passion. Despite her age, her charisma and feisty delivery hold every listener in the palm of her hand.
"And for the first time in American history,"
she began with a sly spark of humor,
"we're celebrating something real. We've replaced celebrity worship with knowledge worship. The Age of Logos has catapulted us from irrational beasts, only good for their wallets and consumption of fast food, to rational beings capable of actual thought. America has finally decided to chase the stars.
Ruby paused for emphasis.
Instead of buying junk destined to break in 2 years?
Laughter and cheers rippled through the crowd, resonating with her hard-hitting honesty. The people knew exactly what she meant. This wasn't just an ideological shift, but a cultural one. For generations, America was plagued by shallow consumption, vapid trends, and empty promises of privilege. But now, things were different. They felt it. They breathed it. Ruby's grin grew wider as she fed off the crowd's energy before delivering her next pointed statement.
"And let's not forget,"
she continued with playful sarcasm,
"we've finally set aside those childish tribal myths about psychopathic gods demanding sacrifices. America has grown up. We have evolved beyond superstition, rejecting arbitrary dogma and even the rigid dead ends of scientific materialism. Instead,"
she gestured broadly, like a conductor leading an orchestra,
"we embrace living mathematics. Libraries are full and churches are empty. Day by day, we replace faith with reason, opinion with knowledge, and privilege with merit."
The applause grew louder, accompanied by chants of "Logos!" Logos! Logos! Ruby took a slight bow before pacing around the stage with exaggerated confidence, amplifying her final points.
And thanks to our 100% inheritance tax reforms.
She adds, her voice mockingly light but deadly sharp.
Dynastic wealth is dead. No more elites buying power while the rest of us get crumbs. This nation belongs to you. This nation belongs to us. This nation belongs to the people of the American Republic of Merit.
The cheers now reached a fever pitch. But she isn't done yet. Her feisty tone turned sincere as she placed her hand over her heart.
And now, with the extra wealth reinvested into our Commonwealth, we've finally optimized our nation's potential. And it's all because of you, your hard work, your commitment, and your belief in a better America. We've won!
The electric energy surging through the crowd is almost tangible. People embraced, waved banners higher than before, and cheered as if their lives depended on it. Ruby stepped back, handing the microphone back to Chris, who now wears an expression of pride tempered by focus. He held up his hand, slowly bringing the crowd to a respectful silence.
This is only the beginning,
Chris declared, his tone calm but charged with gravity.
Victory isn't static. America, from this day forward, will be a dynamic nation, a nation of dialectical change. No longer will we cling to hollow traditions or freeze under the false promise of stability. We will rise higher, constantly, relentlessly, until America reaches her omega point.
The words land with power as a ripple of anticipation spread through the square. Chris's reference to the omega point, an ambitious philosophical concept of ultimate human potential, resonates deeply with the crowd.
Starting today,
He continues,
we seek the brightest minds and the purest merit. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are. Your financial background, skin color, or history don't matter. Only your merit matters. If you can help build this better world, there's a place for you in this republic.
The crowd erupted into a synchronized chant of merit, merit, merit. The rhythmic call shook the air itself, creating a collective heartbeat of enthusiasm. Chris stepped aside as Ruby once again took the microphone one last time. Her tone is lighter now, playfully mischievous.
Let's make one thing clear,
She says with mock seriousness.
we're not just embracing wisdom and reason, folks. We're also here to laugh in ignorance's face. Wisdom is even better when it's hilarious.
The crowd burst into laughter and applause once more. The Parsons siblings exchanged a smile before giving the stage back to the rest of their revolutionary team. Directly behind Chris and Ruby stands a collection of individuals representing the highest echelons of the American Republic of Merit. Each member of this team is a vital pillar of the movement, a complex blend of brilliance, conviction, and personal sacrifice. Colonel Zeke Haywood, who served in the Pentagon for over 35 years, stood tall and imposing with his silver hair shining under the sun. Once a highly respected military officer, Colonel Zeke grew disillusioned with the corruption of the military-industrial complex. Initially skeptical of two children leading a revolution, he now recognizes their extraordinary capability and unwavering vision. Today, he serves alongside Major A.R.M as a Supreme Military Council leader. Beside him, Major A.R.M, an African-American strategist, 43 years of age, exudes unflinching poise. She, too, defected from the Pentagon after uncovering horrifying truths and corruption at the highest echelons of power regarding the military's agendas during her tenure. Together, she and Zeke have restructured armed forces policy to align with the A.R.M's principles, ensuring America's military serves the people rather than the dictates of dynastic privileged elites. The Supreme Science Council is led by Dr. Jennifer Kwan, a 25-year-old Korean-American scientist who rejected the stagnation of scientific materialism in favor of revolutionary ideas tied to living mathematics. When she joined the revolution, she became a towering pioneer and a respected public figure. Disillusioned by her field's unwillingness to embrace change, she joined Chris and Ruby, becoming instrumental in redesigning America's scientific research infrastructure. Candy Zimmerman, Chris and Ruby's best friend and fellow prodigy, serves as Supreme Religious Council leader, a powerful ambassador for rational spirituality. Born into a family of reformers, the 13-year-old serves as an ambassador to Europe and the Middle East. Her talent for evolving religions dialectically into a logos form of spirituality has made her an asset to the revolution. Her warm personality often complements Ruby's fiery energy. Another key figure is Captain Radley Hawk, a former United Nations peacekeeper who turned on the institution after uncovering gross abuses of power within its ranks. Alongside him stands Pablo Ramirez, a former mercenary of the private army, Dragonclaw. Ramirez defected when his conscience would not allow him to participate in Dragonclaw's corrupt dealings. Although neither serves as a Supreme Council leader, the two men oversee an elite security detail dedicated to safeguarding the Supreme Council leaders of the Republic. Representing education is Lydia Mendez, a revolutionary school teacher at the Brighter Minds Academy, the school which Chris and Ruby attended, who now serves as the Supreme Education Council leader. Once discontent with America's failing education system, she now oversees reforms to ensure every mind flourishes under meritocratic equality. Under her leadership, the collective national IQ dramatically increased by 78%. Alongside her stands Dr. Marla O'Hara, head of the Supreme Medical Council, whose dedication to holistic health reform is reshaping the nation's approach to well-being. She believes strongly in healing, not just the body, but the soul of every citizen of the Republic. During the Revolution, she was a leading figure in taking on the corrupt medical establishment, the pharmaceutical industry, and medical insurance companies. This made her a high-value target for elimination, but thanks to Chris and Ruby, she successfully took them down. Finally, the enigmatic Rutherford J. Sewickley, the former chairman of the Old World Order, casts the longest shadow. A man once defined by unchecked ambition and power, Sewickley defected after Chris and Ruby successfully took down his massive empire with the original intention of forcing the siblings to help him rebuild it. His betrayal of the order and subsequent dedication to the revolution brought invaluable resources to the movement. Although there is still a bit of skepticism regarding his motives, his reformation marks one of the most striking symbols of the age of Logos. As Chris and Ruby pose for pictures with their team, Colonel Zeke whispers to Major A.R.M, shaking his head in disbelief.
These kids aren't just leading a movement. The entire nation is eating out of their hands,
Colonel Zeke said in astonishment. Candy, standing nearby, smiled.
And not just our nation, the entire world is watching.
Dr. Kwan joined in, her tone thoughtful.
It's hard to believe what we've accomplished in just 5 years. Before this, America was crumbling, economically, politically, intellectually. Now it feels alive again.
Major A.R.M crossed her arms, nodding.
And not a moment too soon. The armed forces were breaking from the inside. We have spent decades fighting wars for freedom, only to realize we were pawns in a rich man's game.
Captain Hawk grimaced, but added his thoughts.
The UN peacekeepers weren't any better. I once believed in their mission until I realized they were disrupting peace, not maintaining it. Joining this revolution wasn't just a choice. It saved my sanity.
Pablo Ramirez spoke last, his tone heavy.
The mercenary armies like Dragonclaw, where I served, were no different. It was all about serving the oligarchs. Chris and Ruby gave many of us a second chance to fight for something real.
His words hung in the air as the team members exchanged solemn nods, unified in their dedication to what lies ahead. As Chris and Ruby step back up to the microphone, they deliver a final message. Chris's voice, full of conviction, carries across the square.
Let America thrive under positive liberty and reject negative liberty. Together, let's build a future rooted in truth, unity, and merit.
The crowd roars once more as the Age of Logos begins its next chapter. However, it's important to remember the struggle that Chris and Ruby Parsons and their elite team experienced to make it to this point. It all began 5 years ago, on the last day of school, where they began to plant the seeds of revolution.